Welcome to KTN Job Center. Now, since the September 2013 Westgate terror attack, a number of sectors in the country have been negatively affected. As of June this year, the number of hotel workers sent home due to the slump in tourism was estimated at over 7,500. And the slump in the tourism business has been associated with the traditional low tourist season, compounded by travel advisories issued by the United Kingdom, the US, France and Australia on Kenya. And we spoke to some of the players in the industry, and here is how badly their businesses have been affected.
The situation is pathetic. Things are not working well in the coast region, generally in terms of workers. We've had a number of workers being laid out from work because of this situation. In a situation like this where members of staff lose jobs massively, and it's terrible. But we hope maybe things are going to improve, but it's never come. A month like July or August for now, in normal years, all hotels would have been busy by now. But unfortunately, that this country today, South Coast, generally Mombasa, including Lamu, Malindi, things are not working well. Currently, we have close to about 5,000 workers have been lost their jobs, including the whole entire coast region.
We traditionally, during the low season, from May to June, reduce our contracted staff. And usually they come back in the month of July, when the season is about to peak. Unfortunately, this year we have not managed to bring them back. So those members are still at home.
Sales have really gone down compared to 2013. The cost of production itself has gone up, probably 30 to 40%.
We lost the Dutch charter, which was landing weekly in Mombasa. It has stopped. It has not only stopped for this present season, but as well stopped for the season from November until end of May. And they will as well not come back for the next year for the season from May to October. They will earliest come back by November next year.
We used to have on average at least 2 fishing boats going out a day, about 50-60 divers going out a day. Now it has come down to 1 boat maybe a week. And the diving has gone completely low, and we've had to reduce quite a few staff also.
And to assess further this situation, we have Mohammed Hersi, who is joining us live from Mombasa via Skype. And we also have Mike Masharia, who is in studio with us this evening. Mohammed, I'll start with you. How badly has tourism been affected in coastal Kenya?
Joy, the reality is that for the first time, we find ourselves in a very tough position. We've had Kikambala blast in 03. Much later, we've had other issues. But this particular one, since the Westgate attack, that extended all the way to this year, has been the worst, I must say. Because once we started getting the travel advisories, and at the moment, actually, it's not even an advisory, it's a travel ban from the UK, which means that no British tourists will actually come to Mombasa.
Well, and when it comes to loss of jobs, you know, we've seen some of the players saying about 5,000 people have lost their jobs, but that is, you know, as of the month ended May, how bad is it when it comes to job loss as a result of, you know, the slump in tourism?
Actually, the 7,500 that has been mentioned is in the lower side. For the first time, hotels in the North Coast that have even been benefiting from conference tourism is equally having serious challenges this time around. August, we normally do well, but hotels actually did on average 60-50%. Normally, we'll be doing almost 90%. So it's completely changed. A place like South Coast hardly sits on 20%. So it's no longer business as usual. And, this has been quite bad. So we have put close to 10 to 15 hotels that are.
Right. And let me bring in Mike Masharia, who is the CEO for Hotel Keepers and Caterers. You know, some of your members do sit on, you know, the tourism recovery panel. What is being done to ensure that Kenya recovers from this very bad situation?
Thank you, Joy. First of all, the recommendations that we've made as private sector, and we've sent those to government, and we've said, look, if you want to revive the sector, then you must take certain steps, and we've made those recommendations. Now, the good thing is that the Ministry of Tourism has appointed a tourism recovery committee, and the job of that committee is to assess the situation, give a report back, and push for the way forward. However, as industry, we don't think there is a lot of time, and that's why you find us all the time trying to, urge government to try and take certain steps that will start the recovery process.
Right, and speaking of the recovery process, a lot of attention has now been placed on domestic tourism, but has that picked up, say, in the last 1 year after the Westgate attack? You have to look at it from two sides. First of all, you have the domestic tourism leisure part of it, and that traditionally has gone into the coast and places like Naivasha and Nakuru over the school holidays, and that's in April, August and December. Those are only 3 months out of a full year. Right.
Now, what do you need to do then to populate the hotels for the rest of the year? And that's where the challenges are. We, at the moment, do not have enough numbers to fill in the gaps that have been left by our traditional source markets. If you look at the source markets contribution, if you just take the 4 countries that have been mentioned there, US, UK, France, and Australia, they account for about 35 to 40% of the business. If you put in the rest of Europe, countries which have not issued travel advisories but are following the advisories, then you have a problem, because you're talking about around 60 to 70% of the business. Now, as much as domestic tourism is an avenue, we just don't see ourselves filling these numbers in the short run. Maybe we can think about a long-term plan to fill the numbers with domestic tourism.
Right.
There is also the issue of foreign exchange. Local spending will not generate foreign currency. And we've started seeing a lot of pressure on the shilling in recent times due to the lack of inflows from tourism.
Great. And I will get back now to Mohammed Hersi, joining us live from Mombasa. Mohammed, I would like to hear from you. In terms of security and also in terms of Kenya being on a recovery path, how much of importance is security in terms of restoring confidence amongst Kenyans and also the international community?
Joy, you'll realize that tourism virtually depends on peace. And if anybody today offered you a holiday to go to Afghanistan, you'll think very many times before you say yes, and most likely you'll say no. Now, anytime there is any case of violence or there is any indication that there could be a problem in a destination, then what happens is that the diplomatic, the Western embassies will advise their citizens not to visit a particular place. And in the past, we were used to the travel advisories. And travel advisories was very simple. They will say that avoid public areas, avoid XYZ. So, but they tell you to exercise caution. But this particular one, which was placed by the British government, clearly stipulated that south of Mtwapa, which covers the entire Shanzu, Nyali, Bamburi, where all the major hotels are located, and Mombasa Island itself, and then the south coast up to Tiwi, basically meant that the good part of Kenya coast has been is a closed shop. It's basically an embargo, which means that any British tourist who wants to come to Mombasa or the Kenya coast will not be able to get any insurance cover. And that is the dilemma we have. Now, when you talk about recovery, the first thing that we must do is to ensure that this advisory or this travel ban is lifted. The moment that is done, then we can also start marketing to get into the recovery mode. Right now, it really doesn't matter. You can go and market yourself in UK, but nobody will come to Mombasa, and that's the tragedy we have.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Mohammed Hersi. Mike Macharia, briefly, let's have your final remarks on the way forward.
The way forward is we first have to engage. We have to engage our partners. We have to engage the governments of the UK, France, Germany, the entire lot. The vibes we are getting is that there seems to be a problem with diplomacy. Just the day before yesterday, the Indian High Commissioner filed a complaint with the Speaker of the House against our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The information we are getting ourselves is that there is very little engagement in that area. And the issue of security is key. You really have, as a government, you have to ensure that you secure your citizens and your visitors. But having said that, you can't achieve that 100%. There are places that have problems. Israel has perpetual problems. In fact, for the last few months, Israel has practically been at war with Hamas. But there is no travel advisory against Israel.
Right.
We have to ask ourselves why.
Indeed, we need to ask ourselves why. Yeah. This is a conversation that can go on and on. But just so you know, KTN is going to have continued coverage of, Kenya 1 year after the Westgate attack, and that is after the siege. So if you can follow that hashtag, you'll be able to follow the conversations that we are having here. Thank you so much. I do appreciate. And thanks to Mohammed Hersi as well, who joined us live via Skype. We do appreciate. That was Job Center for tonight.